Matt podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 24 of the Better Hit the Mat podcast. I am your host, Boz, and with me today, we have the one and only Scotty Bootz, Tom, Travis, and that other guy, Ryan. Obviously, Boz isn't here today. He is out. What's he doing? Is he filming a porno?
Sleeping?
He's filming some kind
I
of
don't
movie.
remember. Yeah. Filming,
Just look up Boz at Pornhub.com and you probably figure out what he's doing on this project.
I think there's a live stream. I think it's pretty graphic. It's going to warn you guys ahead of time.
Pizza Boy.
Pretty graphic.
At what rate are smut films no longer just considered porn and just considered just graphic violence? I don't know anymore. We saw he's building a barn. We're not sure what that barn's going to be used for, but so he's taking the day off. But Scotty was cool enough to step in. Just like when we had to replace another T, we brought in Tina. This time we had to replace a B, so we brought in Bootz. So it all works out. It really limits who we can have as a guest host.
No. Applications are open if you guys have a name that matches one of ours with the front letter.
All kinds of nicknames coming through with an R, so they don't have to fucking hear me talk anymore. No, but for real, he will be missed. I'm going to be running the boards today. It's going to be a cluster. I told Boz that I'll try to do the best I can. He said this is probably going to be his favorite edit ever because God knows what he's going to end up doing with it. Make sure I hit record. I did hit record. See that, Boz? Step one down. I hit record.
There you go.
Let's make this a 6-hour and 45-minute podcast.
I took a nap for that.
Every 40 seconds, everybody just kind of make like little different clicks or beeps.
Anything that's going to piss them off.
Oh my gosh. But for real, Scotty, thanks for joining us.
Yes, cheers, buddy.
Yes,
cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Official cheers.
I'm sure anybody watching or listening to this probably know you, know who you are. They've probably seen your pictures. They're probably all sitting in their spank bank like they are in mine. I gotta ask you, man, you're posting crazy game like photos, like they're just
incredible.
They're real. You're getting cut like hell. You're getting your triangle on. How are the DMs, man?
Thank you. Yeah, man, it's busy. Yeah, it's been awesome, man. I've been talking with a lot of people, and the Instagram spam is like the most fun shit on there because Instagram, everybody's just like, "Oh, message me, what's up?" And I'm like, "These are all brand new accounts, dude." So it's like, with that. But no, it's been awesome, man. It's been fun to talk with a lot of people and kind of, personalize and try to share as much as I can. And I get back to everybody, so I'm trying to make as much time as I can to, get other people up and moving. It's been pretty cool.
Nice.
Has anybody reached out to you that like that you kind of sparked something in them and it just kind of make them take off yet?
Man, I feel like that's the majority of them. Like a lot of people just like, "Hey man, came across your thing on the right day. Thank you. Like, what's your eating regimen? What are you doing for exercise?" And I tell people exactly what I'm doing, but I try to say, "Hey, don't worry about going that hard," because I didn't go that hard in the beginning. I kind of paced myself and just set something up I knew I could stick to. And now as time has gone on, I mean, I'm in a totally different space than I was last year. But I feel like I'm hoping it's a lot of people that are kind of seeing that, even if they don't reach out, if it gets you up and moving, I mean, that's what it's all about. Give and take as much as we can and keep everybody, growing with this.
Oh, you're definitely doing that for sure, man. Those are some incredible photos, dude.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Have you gotten to that point yet where you're just copy and pasting all your nutrition? Because I literally have it saved on my notes app.
Yeah, and I've kept it so simple, man. So it's like for most people, it's just kind of like, low carb, high protein, no sugar. And that's kind of my general basis that I just apply to everything because my food addict personality, if I let the food become too much of a mental thing, I get wrapped up in that and then I lose my focus. So when I started this whole thing last year, it was just, that's it. Low carb, high protein, no sugar, just copy and paste that to everything I'm putting into my body. And that's my general basis. I tell everybody, keep it simple. Don't overthink it. And then you can fine tune things as you go, but keep it simple because it's so easy to get distracted with the mindset when it comes to food.
Sure thing.
Where have we heard that before, right? Justin Dobbins, every other person we know that's had a huge transformation. Ryan, with yourself, you simplified things. It's the truth. I mean, simplicity always wins.
Long-term success. That's what it comes from. It's not Whole30. It's not keto. It's not paleo. It's not these whole changes. It's literally like what works for you and what can you continue to do no matter the situation, whether it's financial, time, or anything else.
On that note, there was an awesome post in the page today, and it had every single fad diet, every single one, how it works, and at the end, why do you lose? Caloric deficit, caloric deficit, caloric deficit, caloric deficit. So it showed every single, if you can do keto or paleo, or you can Weight Watcher, or you can do it anything you want. The weight loss comes off of the caloric deficit. You can do it a billion different ways. Just find the one that works best for you. Keep it simple. Right. I love that advice, Scotty. That's the best way to do it.
What I like is when you give that like full breakdowns, like I get as far as to even talking about my individualized macros based on my height and weight and everything. And people are like, no, but I need to know, like, what are you eating? Like literally, what did you have for breakfast? It's like, that doesn't matter. Like but they want that. They want to know exactly what you're having, no matter what it is.
Yeah. And I get that a lot too. And sometimes I'll break it down a little bit. And usually what I'll try to tell people with that stuff too is, if you're putting too much focus into trying to like do a copy, rinse and repeat, you're not allowing your mindset to get in the right place, because the second you fall off track of what you feel is kind of that copy, you're going to lose it. And then you're going to fall off the bandwagon. So keep it simple, make it your own and run with it. Let that click into place for yourself, because you don't want to just be focused on, I have to do it this exact way. Because the second that starts to fall, everything's going to fall apart.
Right. Tom, when you're doing nutrition with people, are you writing up meal plans for a lot of people, or is it mostly guidance and food logs and stuff like that?
On the person, right? So we have some clients that will just need, basically, they have no idea the difference between a protein, a carbohydrate, and a fat. They don't even know what a calorie is, right? Something as simple as just portion control, right? Because some people have no idea even where to start, right? And then some people need the exact everything. We're weighing out every single macro. It depends on the need of the person. It depends on their comfort level. And again, it's about finding at first what they're going to be willing to do every single day for the next several months, right? It's not, what can I do for these next couple of weeks, and just really suffer. It never works that way.
And just really suffer. Just throw that. I would like to be like super miserable. How can you guys ruin my life?
If you're in the bodybuilding world, that is the idea. If you want to do a 3-month diet, you make that advice. If you have a coach, they're going to say, you are going to be miserable for 3 months. And like, okay, that's cool. Or can I do it a different way? Yeah, you can. You don't have to be miserable. You don't have to die. You're going to be uncomfortable. It's going to suck. Yeah. You're going to have to kind of make some choices that you wouldn't normally want to do if you really want to reach your goal. But God, you don't have to be showing up with a Tupperware of chicken and broccoli, because you have to eat it 10 times a day. You don't have to do it that way. There's many ways to get there. So it's just all about finding that right one. That's the fun part of coaching too, is getting to know how everybody ticks and finding out what everything works on everybody. It's just finding the one that's going to be best for their lifestyle. It's always fun to do. And to see that confidence build when they're like, wow, this actually works. It sounded, Scotty, the best thing in the world is when you tell them to do something simple and they're like, that would never work for me. And they try it and they're like, holy shit, that worked. It's like, yeah, it did. Pretty cool, right?
So I'm gonna ruin this for you. Don't work on the traps too much, because I saw this and I hope it makes a visual impact on everybody. But it was about how bodybuilders with large traps just look like smaller men trying to escape themselves. They have a second set of shoulders. And ever since I saw that, that's all I look for now. Is somebody trying to get out.
Get out of here. That's hilarious.
That is hilarious, dude. Spot on.
Like those little like mole in a hole games, man, at the carnival,
That's a visual one. So watch YouTube if you're listening.
There you go.
Speaking of watching YouTube, Ryan Hoves. It was awesome, yeah. Like he did great.
He's so fun.
Yeah. Oh man, what a blast. He what a kind dude. Like I know he trolls and he's kind of known for being sarcastic, but he really does care. And like he's doing so good. Like I've seen him have a lot of success and then kind of fall off and then have success. But this is like the best I've seen him go.
Yeah, he seems in a great place too, right? I mean, he just seems like he's on top of things. He's enjoying it. He's having fun.
Well, with his latest post as well, he's talking about just moved in, from where he's just moved. He's having this great success with everyone offering these places for him to do his classes. So that's a good thing as well. So it's great to see him move forward like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
he's
just
a cool cat. I've gotten to know him a little bit the last couple of weeks, a little bit more. So yeah, that's definitely a cool dude.
Okay,
yeah, and just great results. And I think I know that once he gets out of the standard script of the L1 and everything else and kind of starts literally making that workout his own, he'll bring a really good personality to it. And I look forward to that because I know for certain he'll let himself shine through a little bit more because it's so robotic when you first start it. It's this phase, and you almost want to repeat. I mean, how many times huddle up, just like we do in high school or whatever that Dallas says. Every person says that. It's like, come on, guys, let Dallas do that. Figure out your own.
You can still, even in the L1 training, you can still make it your own in a way of bringing your own personality into it.
Right.
Mine was just fucking up all the time.
Hey,
self-deprecation.
You make that your thing, and it's like, hey, that wasn't a Travis workout. There wasn't a fuck up.
True.
No, that's awesome. But yeah, and really good feedback. Justin Dobbins reached out today, even just us talking briefly about his skin thing. I think it hit home with him. Like, he is just, what an awesome dude, and continue to just post stuff out there. Like, he's just laying it all out there. I love the transparency and just the honesty, man. He's just, and you can tell he's out of that, he's not softening anything up for anyone anymore in the group when they're reaching out for help. He's just like, he just lays it down, and it's so good. Somebody tried to offer him advice the other day, and it was fantastic. He's like, thank you, I appreciate that. And I was like, oh wow, what a tempered response.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's not the person you give advice to, guys, unless the advice is how to make all of your loose skin go away without surgery. If you have that 100% foolproof plan, they'll listen. Otherwise, nope.
Yeah, no, he's pure savage mode, man. I talk to Justin daily, and the Unstoppable 4 group. We've kept in touch, beautifully ever since December, which has been awesome. And Dustin is always sending us shit from his workshop, and he is just like an absolute mammoth over there, like just whooping all kinds of ass.
Yeah.
He's making weapons. He's got this pegboard from hell, man. Like, he ain't messing around, dude.
Speaking
Talented
of
dude,
before,
man.
who do we got? Caitlin just was on day 3 of recovery now from surgery.
Yeah. She's doing well too. Yeah. She's doing pretty well with it.
Yeah, I spoke to her last night for a little bit. She said she's sore all over.
Yeah,
and it's what is it? 6 weeks for movement, pretty much 8 weeks for being like any kind of release for any kind of workout at all.
Yeah.
So it's a hell of a road to recovery. But she is now spotlighting tons of different people in the community. Started with Tina, went to Jason Sparks. I'm sure eventually you're going to be in there, Travis. I don't doubt it.
I don't know.
You don't know. Get out of here.
He paid her to do it, but he already paid the cat. He already sent the check out.
As a matter
it
of fact,
hasn't cleared yet, so that's why he's not sure.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything yet. No, she's a great person, and she's gonna kick ass on this recovery. It is funny though when she got home, she said she never wanted to sit up again. But I could imagine, man. But yeah, speedy recovery to you, Caitlin.
Oh yes, 100%. Yeah, my stepfather, before he passed, it was a couple of years before he passed, but he had open heart surgery, and this was like 2 hours after surgery. We stopped in to see him, and he's still pretty much out of it. And I said, "How are you feeling, man?" And he's like, "I really hurt." I'm like, well, you literally had your chest cut open.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd imagine so. He goes, "I just didn't think it would be that bad."
As a resident, I got to sit in on a lot of surgeries, and you think surgery is like a delicate process. Especially
ugly.
chest surgery. I mean, when they break that sternum and they actually
yeah,
dude, like you can feel it just watching it. Like you can holy shit,
Yeah.
this is not real. It is definitely
the noise you can't unhear, right?
Ooh, yeah, just really brutal.
In high school, I got to spend some time in the hospital too, and I was in the operating room for most of the time. And hip surgery, the two that stuck in my mind for the most, I watched the hip surgery, hip replacement, and I watched the C-section. Whoa, boy, those are violent. Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I take more care weed whacking around trees than doctors do. Like it's unreal, man. But
there's a reason those orthopedic surgeons are giant dudes, is because they are snapping and breaking and pulling.
You're
the funny thing about
muscle
this
and ligament. And,
yeah.
Well, the funny thing about this particular surgeon is he was about 4'6", so he had to stand on a stool. But the funny thing with him, he always had to listen to Paul Abdul. So the OR was always jamming with Paul Abdul.
2 step forward, 2 step back.
The hammers went to the beat. Tink, tink.
Gross. Okay.
Gross and awesome on the same.
Well, Kenny is in the house. So, Tom, since I'm having to do Boz's job, do you mind doing my job?
I will have no problem doing your job. So I'm going to tell Travis to go fuck off.
Nailing it.
There we go. But no, I'm going to introduce this week's guest. So this week's guest tried to kidnap me a few months ago, but since then we've become really good friends. Is this Stockholm Syndrome? Might be. But either way, please welcome our one and only guest, Kenny Dunn. The best. Where's my shirt?
The best.
Where's my shirt?
Your shirt. I mean, I got your sign right here.
I'm gonna have to go get it. I had no idea. This is great.
Cheers.
My dad is here.
Dad is here.
Daddy is here. I miss you so much, Daddy.
Cheers. Welcome to the show, not Kenny Dunn.
So I got to tell you, we have some stories. Dad used to take me to Knoebels, and we used to ride the log flume together as a young man. And that was the last time I saw him. He left me at Knoebels amusement park in Pennsylvania.
You got to remember, guys, we're still of audio podcast, Tom. So do you actually want to introduce who is actually here for today's show?
Yeah, the one and only fuckface, Tom Sroka.
Wow.
There we go.
I love it.
My daddy.
I thought this was a PG show.
My daddy. I apologize.
Parental guidance. That would assume you would have stuck around and not gone out for smokes.
I assume we're going to be getting an email from Graham after this comes
I
out.
hope so.
Oh, of course. She's gonna be like, "Hey, my son's on."
Yes.
He's actually your son.
So this was we did a bait and switch on Tom. We thought it would be fun.
I'm pleasantly surprised. I just wish I had my shirt closer.
Yes. Kenny was in on it as well. Kenny was going to fill the whole thing. Like, actually, had he not had to work today, he was going to be the original, and then we were going to try and do a hijack thing. But he ended up having to work. So it's only fitting that Tom would pull a Kenny to get on the show. How else is he going to get on? So
I thought he would have pulled off the kidnapping more than Kenny would have, but there we go.
No,
he
I
has a
had,
weird to set on fire.
I had to Venmo Ryan some money to get on.
Yes.
Love it.
I went ahead and just ordered a Be Unstoppable shirt. So it all goes back to Tom in the end.
Oh, it comes back.
There you go.
Perfect. I actually bought the Tom Sroka sucks shirt right off of Project Mayhem.
Do you have that for sale?
I don't have it up for sale. It's in the store. I just never posted it. So I sent one to Tom, which
this is
hilarious.
what happens.
You would sell the hell out of it.
I agree. I think there's a lot of people that I know that would definitely buy that shirt.
You know what would be hilarious?
The DDP yoga group would buy that shirt.
You know what would be hilarious? Didn't you get striked in the group for that? For your comment, Tom sucks.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So we need some shirts. We need everyone to post the shirts wearing that.
Well, that's not being very kind.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened was there was some kind of a thread and you had just said, well, I had heard that Dr. Tom sucks. And then everybody kind of piled on because they all knew the joke. And then somebody came to Tom's honor, like they white knighted for you. They're like, no, he's really good. He helped me so much with jack straps. And if you watch his videos, he really cares about the community and he knows his stuff. And we're all like, yeah, we know.
I mean, I think it was clear to anybody with half a brain cell that was all done in jest. But obviously somebody got very offended and that's the world we live in now. Somebody gets offended and we have to take things down.
I get direct messages all the time when someone sees the Tom sucks thing. People come out and say, "Are you okay?" I get it all the time, and I never let them in. I was like, "Yeah, I gotta stay strong."
And then you lock them into a 12-week little course there.
I've never once been like, "It's all just a joke." I'm like, "No, that's exactly it." Feel bad,
but I would do better with more nutrition clients.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would do too, honestly, Tom. I would do the same thing. I would be like, no, like this guy's a jerk. Like, I don't know what his problem is.
Yeah.
He just won't let me go.
Yeah.
You
He
got
was a bully in high school. He's a bully right now.
That's it.
So just before we get too deep into your story, Sroka, let's do Tom and Tom. Yeah, there we go. That's gonna be tough. Well, last week we had Ryan and Ryan.
Yeah,
Well, he's
nice.
got Tom's got a doctorate, and I've got a master. So,
Oh, okay. So Master Tom and Dr. Tom.
And Master Tom, 100%. He's Master Tom. Why not?
yeah, exactly.
I love it.
So you're always talking about like you're posting stuff like you'll be at some horror festival and Tom's like, that place still exists.
Yeah.
Are you guys from the same area originally or
I think we're generally close enough. I mean, you're more in like Tom, you're more from Central, right? PA?
Northeast. So
yeah.
Scranton,
Right, I'm
Wilkes-Barre.
more Southeast.
okay. So you're close as in like same state, but not necessarily like a couple towns over or anything.
About 2 hours, I guess. 2
hours for
Yeah.
sure. But a lot of the stuff that he does is like really like right in the middle, what like we'd have been doing. So yeah, pretty
Gotcha.
cool stuff. It's always a connection. It's always fun.
Yeah.
And then did you guys end up meeting through the yoga group, or did you guys meet at Summit?
We met in the bathroom stall.
That was it. Like it was a dating website, right?
The duffel
It
bag.
it was Tom Space we met on.
It was in the dick pill section. You guys grabbed the same pack.
We both grabbed it at the same time.
You both reached for the last four loco.
That was it. And it was
Sorry, we're
love
bringing
at
you down,
first sight.
Scotty.
No, I love
Love at
all of
first
it.
sight.
No, we got connected through the group. It was really during quarantine.
That was a big
I started taking the different online courses from all the instructors that were offering it. And I really found myself gravitating towards Tom's, Travis's, and Marcel's. And that's how we kind of, got connected. Although when I went through my photos from the summit, I could see Tom is near me in a lot of them, either during the workouts or, in line for the photos. We were definitely in proximity. We just didn't know each other then.
Yeah.
It's gravitation.
It happens a lot. Like you kind of, I would say, yeah. I mean,
Crazy.
he's obviously a star, and we all just fucking move around.
Yeah. We even mentioned it before at the Chicago workshop. Ryan is sitting literally next to my wife, and then myself, and we didn't know each other at the time.
Like I said, I just offered the hot chick the spot next to me,
And I was like,
she
thanks.
was married. Bitch. You sent her in, man. You secret agent her. Oh shit! Did Kenny get Tom?
He left. He quit. He couldn't handle it. I was bullying him again.
Finally got it.
That's amazing. Okay, well, do we wait for him to come back? Fuck.
I mean, I guess it's your, the thing is that with the summit is that, you got 100+ people there, and you're just kind of all thrust into that environment. And it's very awkward to just go up to people and be like, hi, I'm so-and-so. A few people did do that for my wife and I, but for the most part, we just stuck close to the people that we had already known, like Dave Worth and Emily, just the people that we knew. And then a few other people we kind of spent a little bit of time with, like Jill Miller, Naren was great. But yeah, like a lot of people though there, I mean, we didn't realize we're there until much later.
Right. And it didn't help either. Like, I don't think that, the last summit was 2019. So people kind of put themselves out there, but it wasn't like they're really unraveling their whole story like you're seeing now because of the Positively Unstoppable contest. I mean, Scotty, if you walked into Summit tomorrow, everybody's going to know who you are because you were chosen as a finalist and because you put your story out there. Whereas most people might have had one before and after photo that they saw. So unless you were routinely posting, people are going to know Travis because of all the online workouts and all the t-shirt sales. They'll just know him as that guy that sells shirts. They're like, I think he might teach. I'm not sure. I just know he sells a shit ton of shirts. But, I think it'll be completely different. Like it not to really like throw it out there, but it's almost like this like micro celebrity status within the community now, like you're always going to have your Arthurs and your Vances, but now you have all these other people that kind of people will be able to recognize. Like the one person that I recognized at Summit was Jesse, just because I knew of his ridiculous photo face and the red headband. And he literally walked up and he was taking photos with everyone. Actually, he took a photo with Jack. And because Jack did some project where he wanted to get a selfie with every single person that was registered to be at the summit. And Jesse did the photo face. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know that guy. But otherwise, I walked in not knowing a single person. Like, like actively, where I could walk up and say like, yeah, this is my person, you know?
Yeah.
So it was definitely weird. It was kind of like almost like the first day of high school in a weird way.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have felt as comfortable if I had been there by myself. You know, obviously I had my wife with me because she was also invited. But otherwise, I don't know if I even would have went, you know, because to be by myself in an environment like that, it's not something I would feel comfortable doing. I'm glad we did, but again, I don't know if I would have done that by myself.
Right. What was your first impressions when you rolled down to the PC, Scotty?
Oh, it was awesome, man. It was awesome. I mean, to kind of see everything through, you know, the workouts and the videos and all that, and to kind of be standing in there, there's just such an energy and a presence, you know, being within that building. And it's gorgeous too. I mean, it's so much larger than you expect it to be. I've been to a ton of just like, you know, yoga studios and such, and usually it's just kind of like a little small thing. You just kind of get together, but there's like a full blown establishment in there and like all the shit on the walls and just being in that room. It's just an amazing energy, man. Something that you can't really replicate, you know, anywhere else, just being in there, because the DDPY thing is so much of a lifestyle. And when you kind of are in like that home base, like you kind of get like, you know, the feels with it and stuff. And it was a pretty emotional moment.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That was my first takeaway. It was like, it wasn't much like walking in. You kind of, you know, it's just a front desk, but you've got the office there and you see all of Dallas's stuff, and that's kind of cool. But then when you actually step into that room, it's like, all right, it's game on. And then you see like, you didn't have the opportunity to see it because you guys had smaller workouts, but man, there's like, you're trying to figure out how to stagger mats and not punch somebody no matter what pose you're going to be in. And I think at one time we had like 58 people for Dallas's workout, maybe in that one. And that, I mean, the stage itself, I think there were like 11 people on stage just to fit everybody else in.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
And I think George Fenmore got there on Tuesday for Dallas's Saturday workout, so he could be front center.
First and second.
That's right. not a surprise.
No, not an exaggeration either.
I don't think he went home. I think he just sat there all day.
He lives under the stage.
Yeah, he was camping out in the parking lot waiting for it to open up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, man. I'm used to camping out for cons all the time.
Yeah.
For the workout, you know?
Oh, that's so funny. Well, I mean, we kind of jumped the gun there, but you want to tell us how did this start? How did you discover DDPY? Like, what led you to even get going?
I mean, I think like most people, right? It's they discovered it through, you know, Wrestling Connection. I remember we were watching Raw. I guess it was 2012. I'm trying to think if my son was like an infant then. But we saw him on, and he was, you know, talking about DDP yoga at the time, not DDPY. And we're like, oh, this sounds awesome. So just like a lot of other people, ordered the whole DVD set, you know, got it, cracked it open, did it a couple times, was like, this is awesome. And then that was it. It probably lasted for a few weeks, and then the DVDs just kind of sat on a shelf, you know, gathering dust for a couple years. And then, you know, and it's crazy because I had a coworker who was doing it too, and you think we would have kind of fed off of each other, like, "Hey, are you still doing it?" But it didn't happen. And I also wasn't aware of the Facebook group at the time. I didn't become aware of that until much, much later. So, you know, fast forward a couple years, I want to say maybe 2015, 2016, probably 2016. I had gone to a doctor's visit, you know, routine checkup for whatever reason. I think it was work related. And, you know, my weight was high, which it had been since, you know, probably end of high school. I want to say at the time I was about 280 pounds. You know, so it's 6'2". It's pretty heavy. You know, certainly not as heavy as, you know, some other people, but I think I was definitely trending towards that path. And
280s and only getting older, which means
exactly, yeah,
going up.
Yeah, and not as physically active as I used to be. I was always a really avid walker, but at that point in my life, you know, driving everywhere was easy. And you know, you don't really see the change physically when you're looking in a mirror day to day because it's so gradual for you. But when you look back at photos, you're like, wow, that's huge. But so I went to the doctors. My doctor is very blunt, which I appreciate. And he came into the room and he said, well, I mean, you're fat. And that was his first line. Like, there wasn't like, hey, how are you? It was just like, well, you're fat. What do you want? New Year's Day, 2017, had a doctor's appointment, and I went in, get weighed. I go in the little waiting room. My doctor, who's very no nonsense, comes in, he goes, so you're still fat. And he looks at me and he goes, do you want to die? Because right now you're on that path. And I got those DVDs off the shelf, dusted them off, put them in, and I started doing it 2-3 times a week. And it was hard in the beginning. It wasn't so much of a callous thing. It was more of like, what did you expect to hear? Do you want me to sugarcoat it? Do you want me to? So they had done routine blood work. At that point, my blood pressure was pretty high, but it wasn't medicated high. It was just elevated. Cholesterol though was pretty much through the roof, as bad as you could expect. And it was at that point he said, do you want to die? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, do you want to die? Because this is the path you're going on. You're going to die soon. You are at a very high risk of a heart attack any day now. And for me, that was like, I don't know what it was about that. I think too is that before I went to the doctors, I happened to I had never seen it before. Was that my 600-pound life? And as I was watching that and hearing people talk about the mentality with food and things, a lot of that I connected with, and that's what scared me. I told my wife, I was like, the way these people are talking about eating is very similar to my own mindset. So it was at that point he said, "Do you want to die?" And I of course I said no. I've got a less than 1-year-old at home. I've got a wife and who I care about a little bit. And so it was that point I went home and it was a complete clean slate. I just dumped all the soda down the drain. It was like an alcoholic dumping out alcohol. Got rid of all the junk food. Completely switched to water. Changed my entire diet overnight. It was like I'm done. And that's when I went back to the DDP yoga. I said I need to do something physical, and was doing it maybe 2 or 3 days a week, and was exhausted. I go for a quarter mile, like a half-mile walk, and was winded. I'm like, this is not good. I thought physically I was in much better shape than this. So then I started doing DDP yoga 2 to 3 times a week. And then, like I said, the dietary changes were the biggest thing, I think, for the weight loss. I think after maybe a month or two, I was down 20 or 30 pounds. It felt incredible. Wow. At that point, I started to incorporate, and I know people are going to laugh about this, but I did incorporate regularly sweating to the oldies.
Nice.
I got a lot of I got a lot of crap for that from people at work. They're like, dude, you're dancing to Richard Simmons on your lunch break.
Hell yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, man,
you're
I
moving.
need cardio.
Yeah. Getting people moving, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, it was something.
Which oldie was your favorite? Was it the lady on the left or the lady on the right?
Oh,
the fourth lady. Nice.
Oh, the fourth one. Yeah, there you go. I mean, so I was.
She has a liquor.
Right now, at that point, I'm working out 5, 6, 7 times a week. 90 minutes a day. I'm also getting out and walking more, and then I'm averaging 20 to 30,000 steps a day, in addition to the 90 minutes of working out. So it's just fast forward again. I'm now down 50 pounds at this point, so I'm right around 230. And my wife was looking at me and she's like, man, dang, I got to do what you're doing. This is, you look like you're losing so much weight. And I was like, all right, whatever. So,
did you really reply?
Whatever. So
what do you want to get for dinner? Whatever.
Well, here's the thing. So I'm the one who cooks and grocery shops. So when I switched, my diet, she had no choice but to be like, well, I guess this is what we're eating now.
She went,
no more Lunchables.
For me, it was I ate the same thing 7 days a week and no boredom at all. It was I'd have 3 bananas throughout the day at work because I'm a teacher, so I needed some energy. And then end of the day, I'd have a salad with, apple cider vinegar, 2 apples. And then for dinner, maybe 1.5 pounds of chicken breast, boneless, skinless, cup of vegetables. And that was it. I mean, it was a crazy change, but it was a real determination to make the difference. So she starts eating right. She starts doing DDP yoga a couple times a week. She's not as avid as I was, and ends up surpassing me in the weight loss. She starts shedding it even faster than me. So that whole rumor about men lose weight faster than women, it's total BS. Total BS. She does a fifth of what I do and loses 5 times more weight. But yeah, I ended up dropping down to 205 pounds.
Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that was the lightest I had been since 14, because I entered high school at 6'2" and 205 pounds. And so yeah, it was 205. My goal was to hit 200. I never got there. It was like I got to 205 and it just kind of, got stuck, it
Flatline.
plateaued, whatever you want to call it. I know plateaus exist or don't exist, whatever. But it just got stuck there. And looking back, I think the missing piece for me, I should have been doing strength training in addition to everything else I was doing. That's something I got into over the last 9 to 10 months, thanks to Dr. Tom giving me some recommendations. So I've been really enjoying that. But yeah, I mean, total weight loss was 75 pounds for me, and it was probably about 70 pounds for Jen.
Nice.
Which I mean, she was extreme. I just couldn't believe how fast she lost it over just, these small changes that mostly happen in the kitchen. I mean, obviously physical activity is important as well, but you can't outwork a bad diet, as some people like to say.
That's right. Speaking of Jen, did you guys
hang
do
on,
something?
can we pin that real quick and say that Boz has finally joined us? He's stepping in live from Hollywood. Boz, where are you at? What's the British
thanks,
Hollywood?
Ryan, for...
I thought that was Mick Foley.
It was very obvious.
We have the real Hollywood here.
The real Hollywood. Oh,
So
look at
he
this.
is- there he is. We've seen this being built in the process, and is it a barn? Is it a bunker? What is it supposed to be? Oh shit!
Yeah, so
We'll get fired.
Can I just say, can I just say first off that Ryan fucked this up because he was supposed to keep me backstage and then bring me in. I just appeared in the group there and they're talking. So sorry.
Can I just say that Ryan did not fuck this up? I thought you overrode me and joined right in because you're a fucking host. I had no option. So woo!
Where's my
Retract
popcorn?
that.
Hopefully they didn't hear that. Yeah, I'm not crashing the show. guys.
Mommy
So
and Daddy's fighting.
So my plan was I was going to steal a World War I helmet and rifle, dress up a little bit, and appear on cam. But we built this set, and they just made us build a 20 by 20 frame, 20 foot by 20 foot frame, to put a flag up and make it night before it was night. And then actually, you can just sling them over the top of the building. So I've just had to I've ripped my pec. Yeah, so no, it's going great. It's really good. But I just thought it'd be funny to bob in and say hi.
Well, we miss you.
Missed you, buddy.
I just want to brag. I nailed the intro first try, or
Nice.
I don't care enough to re-record it. Not sure.
So basically, we built this set, but we had to use polystyrene lining paper on the inside. It's supposed to look like a 1915 building with blown plaster on the back. Every join, sun baked it, and the joins are really obvious. So now we're going across site to basically nick more shit out of the woods so we can lean it up against the walls and cover some of these joins. So it's not perfect, but considering I built this thing in 7 days, and this is Glenn I'm walking over with, he just came to my van to get me. He is the genius designer behind it, who basically sent me a concept image, and I tried to make it a reality in between us. We've been painting it for the last 2 days. So, yeah, it's been fun.
Nice.
Well, good luck, man.
Good
and
stuff.
we'll keep holding this down. Don't
Hi,
work
Tom,
too hard.
nice to
We
meet
need.
you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you too, Bot.
Cheers, Boz.
Unreliable information that you suck, but having just listened to you for about 10 minutes, it doesn't sound like you actually do. So I'm questioning my info here.
Question
Yeah, I'm
you too.
pretty incredible. Even, I'm pretty awesome.
Humble. It's my kind of humble. Big fan.
Hell yeah.
Scotty,
All right,
thank you
buddy.
for stepping in. I can't wait to edit this mess. It's going to be great.
Yeah, dude. Thank you guys for having me, man.
Later, buddy.
Cheers.
See you later.
See you,
Bye.
Buzz.
Yes, cheers.
See you, bud.
I was gonna say you and Jen did something. What was it, 12 years ago? Was it? Is it today?
I can't remember.
Something silly. I don't know. It was.
Worst
right.
decision of her life.
I got married to my first wife, Jen. That's what it was.
Oh,
First wife.
Congratulations.
Yes,
You guys
12
did.
years ago, you got married to your first wife, Jen. Does your second wife, Jen, know about it?
I mean, I haven't met my second wife yet, so I don't know how long this first wife's going to go for. We'll see. Maybe 30 years, maybe 40 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well,
you don't-
cheers.
You don't wanna
Congratulations, my
overproject.
friend.
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
Yes.
Cheers. So yeah, actually, Tom, for those that probably don't know or haven't caught on yet, obviously they haven't caught on the Tom Sucks thing. You guys have pretty unique relationship. You guys talk a lot of trash over one another. It seems like a lot of playful banter.
100%.
Yeah, and I really respect that out of your guys' relationship. It's fantastic to watch from afar. I believe you've gone to Facebook jail like 4 times insulting her.
Well, so we have a very good banter because I think for a lot of reasons. Number one is we were friends for about maybe 8 to 10 years before we even started dating.
Wow.
I knew Jen in high school. We didn't date in high school at the time, but we started dating towards the end of college. And so I think because we have that foundation of being friends, but I think also too is that we're both the product of divorced families and blended families. So we often joke about, my first wife or, when we get divorced and things like that. And sometimes my son is like, "Are you guys getting divorced?" And
I was like, "Well, it's your fault."
I was like, "Well, not yet, but soon."
The kid actually has PST through a PTSD through a divorce that it hasn't been there yet.
Yep. He's already worried about it.
He talks as if he's from a divorced family, and it just confuses everyone around him.
It's like, I need counseling. No, but it's I have been to Facebook jail a few times for various things. It's funny how what you can say on Facebook and what you can't say. So, for example, it seems like you can be anti-Semitic, you can be a homophobe, you can be whatever, and that's fine. But if you say girls stink, oh, you're going to Facebook jail.
Done.
If you say what was the one thing I said? It was like, "Oh, that movie I didn't like that Rob Zombie movie. It was too, the white trash family." Oh, you can't say that. 5 days. It was just like, and then I started like testing it. I'm like, well, what can I say and what can I say? So I would try different things. Nothing would happen. And then I'd say something very, innocent enough. And then, oh, you're in now. And it was so arbitrary. It was like, oh, you're in there for 3 days. And then I would appeal it. And it would say, we're not looking at your appeal. And the ban is now 7 days. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
So with that banter,
I got you, Bender, for the next 3 weekends.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
With that banter and that going back and forth, did you guys ever apply that to your physical aspect? Like when it comes to like you had said that she was losing more weight easier than you, and did you have to double up just to prove her wrong or to beat her? Like, was there ever a competition? How bad did you want to beat your wife? That's all I need to know.
That's such a great question. I am very, when it comes to being like better than my wife, 100%, like everything. Like it's like, she'll be like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, I make more money." And it's like, well, I'm doing what I love, and I'm like, "Great, I make more money." And it's like, so, or it's like, this, and like today we had a competition because my son asked me to make him a grilled cheese, and I said, "All right, I'll make it in about 5 minutes. I'm cleaning," and she said, "Oh, I'll make it." And I said, "No, I'll make it." And then I don't know how it came up. It was his idea or her idea, but we're going to do a competition, a blind taste test. Whose grilled cheese was better? And she's down there doing different things. And I'm trying to be conservative because we only have so much cheese. I'm not going back to the store. And so I didn't put enough cheese on my sandwich. And he picked her sandwich. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not cooking anymore. I'm done.
I'll tell you what, that's a smart kid, dude. He had 2 people to cater the shit out of him of grilled cheese sandwiches. So good on him.
He's smart, and he's not as manipulative as I am, and he's definitely a lot more naive, which I worry about because I'm so I love manipulating people and causing chaos and then stepping back and watching it. And he's such a good victim for it. But when it came to the weight loss and the physical, I mean, there was definitely some of that for me. I was like, oh, I got to work out, 3 times as hard. I'm going to do 3 hours today on a walk, and yet I couldn't get close to where she was going.
Or not. Our relationship is stronger because we've done something successfully together to benefit our lives, and we're more healthy physically, but we're also healthy mentally and spiritually.
I don't, probably because I have such a bad sweet tooth and she doesn't. So like I would allow myself to have like, a bowl of ice cream, every 10 days or something like that.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Where she was like, "No, I'm good." She can eat, like a bird, and I need to constantly I can't just sit still and watch TV. I have to have something. So it might be a bowl of, popcorn, air pop popcorn, or a fruit or something like that, blueberries. She could just, it's fine. No big deal. She can just turn it off. And I don't know. I think it's probably a product of our upbringing. She grew up in a more normal middle-class household. Whereas I grew up in one that was definitely impoverished, especially for most of my early years up until the point where my mom remarried in high school. But by that point, the food insecurity was already there. When I was younger, if we had a box of cereal in the house, it was like, gold had just entered and everybody wanted their share. I have 2 siblings. So that cereal box was gone within an hour because, everybody wanted to get as much as they could of it. So you're eating and eating and there's, just peanut butter to eat today, like for lunch. That's it. So you're just eating peanut butter right out of the jar or, fast food, whatever's cheap. So for me, I don't know if that insecurity has ever gone away, even now. And certainly we have enough money to provide for everybody and we're not, worried about money. But even now, like when food comes in, I catch myself like eating too much of it because I'm afraid that it's not going to be there later.
It's crazy. And you're even aware of it and yet it
Yeah.
still occurs. And that just shows you like how mental the physical transformation really can be. And all the changes in the world. Scotty, you've had nothing but rapid changes. But I'm sure that the minute you let up a little bit, you could spiral. Like it really can happen.
Yeah, so I went the first 7 months without doing a cheat. I went 7 months 100% clean, didn't even have like a cheat meal. And then I've had some cheat days, here and there, but I still I mentally plan those out. Like I tell myself, all right, next Sunday, be it, I'm gonna allow myself X, Y, and Z, and I have to keep that in my head so that way I know that day comes, you do your thing, you wake up Monday and you're right back on the bowl again. Because if there's any impromptu things, it could be an immediate relapse. I mean, it's things we got to be conscious of for our entire life,
Now, Scotty, do you actually follow and count your calories? So if you do have a cheat day, do you throughout the week, do you equal that out? And
so what I do just to mentally prepare for it the right way is I will either fast the day prior or the day after. So I don't count the calories, so to speak, to balance it out, but I will make sure that I fast either the day ahead or after, just so I'm at least setting that stage enough for myself.
What was your cheat? What'd you break with?
Oh my! So the break one, it was epic. So I did that. It was it was last October, and I just wanted some dirty ass food. So went to my brother's for a wrestling pay-per-view, and just pounded a full Domino's pizza, a whole thing of the cheesy bread, and just shitloads of candy. Like I was just like, I'm going in hard, and I felt terrible. Like I felt like I was almost like on ecstasy, man, because it's like all of those carbs and all those endorphins started kicking in, and I felt like I was having a high, and I was like, dude, like I don't feel normal right now at all. But like,
mine legit would probably be like full size pizza, like eat the entire thing, and then like 12 margaritas. That's what it would be. Just all the margaritas.
Yeah, dude.
And that's the appetizer, and then then you have dinner.
Yeah.
I followed a similar path to Scotty too. Is that like the same thing where I would have it written down on my calendar. I would put a star on the day if I went completely like no added sugar with anything, no candy, no this, like everything was like sugar, no sugar at all. And it was like, oh, if you get 10 stars, then boom, you can have
always a teacher, man. Always a fucking teacher.
You get a star for the day.
Yeah, but for me, I'm very finish line driven. I need a finish line, and it's for me. It was like I hit 205, and it was like, all right, I did it, and it's like, and so that's when the slide started to happen. It's like I switched schools, and I'm at a school now where people bring in food all the time for people. Hey, we have a cake for this person's birthday. We had it was like that Seinfeld episode where they keep having cake for so many people's birthdays.
It's always a birthday.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it was like, oh, well, free food, and I'm eating it. And then when COVID hit, I'm like, oh, I've put on like 20 pounds or 30 pounds. Like, wow, like I didn't know. I stopped calorie counting as well because I was like, wow, I did it. And so really, like, there were a couple things that I'm very grateful for. Number one is that Dave Worth is one of my best friends. He was somebody who I met during my DDP yoga process, and he started doing live classes in Philly, and he was like, hey, you should come out. I'm like, well, I do them at home on the DVD. And he's like, you really should get the app. You should get the heart rate monitor. He was the one who really sold me on all of that. And I think if it wasn't for him having classes every Saturday and me going to them with Jen, I don't know if I would have stuck with it as long. So even, then obviously, COVID hit, and again, grateful to people like Tom and Travis who had those live classes to give me something to look forward to, so that I wasn't just, isolated again, working out by myself again. that was awesome on their part to do that for other people. But yeah, like that's when I kept going back to calorie counting. I'm like, all right, I got to get this under control again. This. It's just like I've got to get out of that mindset of like there's a finish line, because there's never going to be a finish line.
Right.
I said that the other day to Jen, that I don't know if I did any other job, I would be happy, because I love being a teacher, because there's a finish line. There's like, oh, it's the school year's over, break. And like, there's always an end.
You got it quarterly, and then you got, where you hit to your breaks, your winter break, and then summer. So it's, that makes sense.
I don't know if I could do a 12-month job. I think I would probably hate my life immensely. Like having, like knowing that every year, like every school year is going to end is great, because you're like, no matter how bad it gets, you're like, well, it's going to end eventually. But with health, it's like there's never an end to it. You've got to be on like almost 24/7, with the exception of obviously eating a full Domino's pizza.
Right. But there is an AEW pay-per-view, so that's legit.
Was
it an AEW? I'd assume.
No, it was a WWE one, but yeah.
Oh man, you broke fat.
I know. But that's such a good point that you bring with the whole finish line thing, man, because that was a huge thing for me that I had to flip that mentality with, because in 2019, I'd found success losing weight. I got into a weight loss competition with work and dropped about 30, 40 pounds. I shit you not, the second that it ended on that Friday, that was it. Like I went right back to routine, and I, went from 215, 220 pounds, put it all back on and then some. And then before I knew it, I was up to 270 again, because I had that mindset. Oh, I did it. Great. I won the competition. That's all I cared about. And the next thing you know, I'm right back to old habits.
Yeah. David Goggins mentions that a lot. He goes, making it to the top of the mountain, and then he knocks himself back down, just to set those goals back up all again. But how do you do that? Like you said, when you get there and you think you've hit that finish line, what do you do, and how do you mentally knock yourself back down to build back up?
It has to be exhausting to be him, right? Like to always have to be better or do more.
And as cameraman.
Yeah. No shit. Yeah, somebody's keeping up with him, right?
Well, he's a maniac. I mean, there's a guy named Jason McCarthy, and he always says that you should look for ways to be uncomfortable. And I think that's the thing is, you have to be consistent with your eating, but as far as like physical things, look for more challenges, like, just what's going to make you uncomfortable, not put you in a position where you're in pain, but in a position where you're going to be uncomfortable. So, maybe that's going out and running or walking a 20-mile walk or something like that. Like, so you're always looking for doing something a little bit more and pushing yourself a little bit further. I think that's one way to change that mentality. I'm not sure, but it's working for me. But the eating thing is always going to be a challenge.
Right. That kind of, one thing you keep talking about, whether it's doing DDPY or a little bit of nutrition, you keep mentioning walking. Yeah. And so that's kind of like, I know now that you're doing a lot of that, but you're doing it with rucking.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sure a lot of people know what rucking is, but for those that don't, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'm sure
Tom Sroka rucks.
Yeah,
he does.
He does. So I was out during the quarantine, because as a teacher, obviously when COVID hit, it was like, oh, we're going to shut down for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks became 2 months, and then 2 months became, indefinitely. And so I was out for a morning walk, and I was listening to Jocko's podcast, and he had a guy on there who was talking about rucking, and he was giving his life story, and he was talking it up, and I was like, oh, it sounds pretty good. Like it's walking with a weighted backpack. Okay, cool. Like sounds good. So I jumped in. I bought the $300 rucksack, which is like guaranteed for life, and it can hold X amount of pounds in it. It'll never rip or anything. And so far, it's been awesome. Bought a 20-pound weight plate to put in there, and started with like a mile or two, and was like, dang, this is pretty intense. Like for even for me, I had been averaging 5, 6, 7 miles a day walking, but to put on that extra weight, it was like, oh, so this is what my body used to.
What it was like.
Yeah. And it was just like, this is incredible. And so I was doing that in addition to doing DDPY all throughout the quarantine, and just got further and further into that, and then found out that the company had, which is GoRuck, had set up something called Tribe, where each month for like a $15 fee, they would send you a patch, and with that patch you would have to earn it virtually, and there were different requirements, and the requirements were not just physical but also like mental and spiritual. So mental, they would assign a book each month that deals with that month's I want to say like topic or theme. So the theme might be seek pain. So seek something that's difficult. And for that month, it was, forget what book we had to read, but it might have been, I don't know what it was. But anyway, we had to read a book. And then the physical requirement was like 2 miles, every day for the whole month of rucking, like 2 miles each day, which was fine. And then the spiritual one, which was probably, it was the most difficult, was we had to write 5 like handwritten notes to people in your life and tell them how much you appreciate them, or just whatever, just that you value them and you care about them, which, is difficult for somebody like me who's used to like busting people's balls.
So,
and now,
Tom, can you actually read your letter?
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Let me see. I think she's on my phone.
Okay.
It says, "Dear Dr. Tom, you suck. Love, Tom."
Weird.
There
Okay,
you go.
I don't, and that qualified.
that worked.
Kind of a cop out.
Yeah, I mean it's all on an honor system. So like I'm sure there's people out there that are like, yeah, I did it, sure. I legit did it, and it was very uncomfortable, and
Well, it's a hard exercise, right? Because there's something to be said for not just because you're a man, but vulnerability is not easy. And vulnerability when you're trying to change or trying to improve can be even harder. And it so I could imagine that it is much, it's a lot harder than throwing 35 pounds on your back and walking for 20 minutes like that's significantly different.
I would have much rather rucked 4 miles a day instead, but I did it. So their community is very similar to the DDPY community. They have that Facebook page. They have various ruck clubs, they call them.
And that's Go Ruck, right? Which is GORUCK.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So like they have clubs throughout the country where people get together and they go rucking together, or they do a community service project together. Unfortunately, there's no ruck clubs around me, even though I'm right outside of Philadelphia. There's nothing active. So I'm by myself, which, I'm a loner, so that's okay with me. But then I found out that there were other pages that they were affiliated where they have different challenges where you can earn additional patches for, $5-10. One was like, do a 14-mile ruck, and it's to honor a certain group from World War II, and you get this patch, or go, ruck 3 miles to your local taco place and you earn this, taco ruck patch. So it's like a fun, like,
you can hang out with Bruce Nelson.
Yeah, that's it.
He's a Philly boy.
Yeah, he's not. Listen, I'm gonna cut a promo right now on that.
Yes,
Bruce, you are not a Philly boy. You do not live. Hold on. You do not live in Philadelphia. You were not born in Philadelphia, to my knowledge, and you've never lived in Philadelphia. I take great offense to when people say they're Philly boys or Philly girls, and so does anybody else from Philadelphia. If you've never lived in the city, I lived in the city from birth to age 14. I've worked in the city for the last 13 years. I don't go around and go, yeah, I'm from Philly. No, I say I'm from Bucks County. I live in Bucks County. That's where I'm from.
When they say, where the fuck is that? What do you follow it up with?
I always say I'm right outside Philadelphia.
There it is.
But I don't go around and say I'm a Philly boy. And
how far outside the city center is it until you lose the brotherly love? That's what I want to know.
Exactly. Apparently, less than 30 feet.
It gets worse the closer you get in, honestly.
Until you have until you walk down the street and seen a naked man, or seen somebody using like actual hard narcotics, or lived inside of a Wawa, you're not from Philly. You're not from Philly. Like you're not. Like you are not. You live outside of Philadelphia.
Do you rep Chicago, or do you just outside of Chicago?
Yeah, I would just say north of Chicago, just because we're about 45 minutes north, so no one's gonna know where I'm from.
Right, exactly. But that's what's so funny is people are like, "Yeah, I'm in Chicago." And it's like, you live in Elgin. Well, I mean, close enough. Yeah, it's still an hour and a half by car.
It's not.
You're not fighting for your life every day, bro.
Yeah. And I love Bruce. Bruce is a great guy. So I mean, no offense to this, Bruce, and please don't take offense to it. And if you do, well, ban me, I guess. But you're not a Philly boy, and you're not a Philly boy. You have to have lived in the city for either you had to have been born and raised in the city, or you have to currently live in the city. So if you're a transplant and you've been in the city for 5-10 years, you could argue that I'm a Philly boy. I'm from Philly. That's fine. That's fine. But you can't be like, well, I grew up outside of Philly. No. Then you're from outside of Philly.
When prepping this outline, I thought you would talk a little bit about DDPY, be passionate about rucking. Little did I know that you would go off on Philly qualifying tangents.
Right?
Hey, well, I'm gonna just fire you up. Are you wearing your heart rate monitor right now? Because you're probably in the green zone.
I might be.
Got a custom workout going right now, dude.
Yeah, right.
This is
about to flip the table over.
This is the vocal equivalent of exploding knees. Right
That's
here.
it.
Exactly.
I mean,
So I want to hold
listen,
you to it. When I come to Philly, then Tom, I want a proper hoagie. I can't get one anywhere, so
mean a
Philly's
cheesesteak?
the only place.
A cheesesteak?
Cheesesteak's overrated. I want a hoagie.
hoagie?
A hoagie.
What?
A
Okay,
proper
I'll
hoagie.
take you to some real. See, like some people are like, oh, I'm going to go for a cheesesteak. I'll go to like Pat's or Geno's. That's not the real cheesesteak. That's not where you go. That's a tourist trap. That's what that is. There's other
That's,
places.
What's your best one in the city?
baseball
What's your
talk.
choice?
Yeah. What's your choice?
My best one in the city, probably Joe's. It was not known as Joe's before. It did have an offensive name that they had to change. I don't even want to say it out loud because I don't want to lose my job. But it had a name that was extremely offensive. But they tried to play it off of, oh no, everybody always called him that growing up. That's great.
Oh.
It's offensive.
Yep.
Yeah.
They ran into that in Grand Rapids. There was a coffee company that started out of Lansing, then moved to Grand Rapids, and now it's even in Indiana, and I think they're in Illinois as well. And they're called Big B's. Their original name was Beaners, and it was around for like 3 years, and then Carlos Mencia blew up, and he would use that as a derogatory term to other Mexican guys during his bit. And people are like, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, started boycotting this company. And they're like, what the hell? And so they had to completely rebrand the entire company, but their logo was always a giant B, so they just rebranded it Big B. But that wasn't even good enough for people. It's like Carlos Mencia's career had to die before they could even really, succeed. And it's crazy how that happens. It just takes one thing to just completely ruin your brand.
Yeah.
Well, for a small stint, I lived in the Moline of Pennsylvania. I lived in Chester for a little while.
Okay.
And what I remember the most was how good those damn hoagies were, man.
Yeah. you got to find some little like corner store that like I got a couple good hoagie places near me. Reen's Deli is one. Finks is another one. So like they're kind of known, but they're not like like people usually go, oh, we're going to go to Wawa. That's not where you're going to get a real hoagie. That's a quick.
There are places if you don't want to actually sit at the table and eat, that's probably the best food.
Yes.
Whether you're getting a euro, if you're getting a euro in Chicago, it better be a place that you think you might get robbed in. Yeah. Because I guarantee that euro is going to be top notch. And if a health inspector came, they're going to fail. But it's going to be so good.
It's so worth it.
Yeah, any kind of taco or burrito, like in Elkhart, where right near me, like it's a lot of Hispanic population, and there's like Mexican restaurants, like there's like 12 all within like a 4-block radius, and it doesn't matter where you go. They're going to be phenomenal. Every single bit of it. Like, I don't know what Indiana is known for, but at least in this area, man, tacos, burritos, just top notch. So, which makes it tough because, can't eat too many tacos and burritos and be low carb.
Yeah. The thing is like where a lot of those good, like dives are is in a part of the city where I actually spent most of my teaching career, but like it's really become so gentrified now that like those little like hidden gems are not so hidden anymore.
Yeah, that spot got blown up.
Yeah, it's still gentrified, but at the same time, like you still do have to worry that you might be robbed.
Yeah,
right.
You can get a good panini, but watch your back.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. So with rucking and everything else, like, are you still? I know you're certified DDP L1, right?
I am. Yes.
So are you is there anything you're incorporating from DDP yoga that would make you better at rucking? Like, are you applying the breathing thing, the stretches, post active recovery, anything like that?
100%. I mean, I was so they have a podcast, and they were talking actually one time about the benefits of like yoga pre and post ruck for your shoulders and your back, things like that. And I was like, oh, how about that? Like, and so 100%, I'm still doing it, especially like post ruck, because you come back and like the rucking is apparently is very good for your lower back because it causes you to stand up straight with that weight on your posture. Back. So yeah, exactly.
Stacking joints.
Yep. So there's sometimes if I'm out for a 10-15 mile ruck, I'll stop halfway through, take off the pack, and then do some DDP yoga moves just to kind of open up my shoulders a little bit because I'll feel a little tightness. Do it once I come back from one as well, or post any kind of weights, any workouts with weights. It's always a good recovery. workout. So it's gone from being my primary mode of physical activity to more or less being something that I help to recover from some of the other things that I'm doing now. So it's definitely been helpful. The breathing too, as well. Just, again, breathing through your nose. I mean, it's such a pivotal part of DDPY. It's like, start with the breathing and just focusing on your breath as well. So it has helped immensely. I know there's one other person who, before I was banned in the DDP Yoga Facebook group, I had said something about rucking, and he was like, "Oh, I do go ruck as well." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." I'm like, and kind of connected with him a little bit there.
Was that Arthur?
I don't know. No, it wasn't Arthur. I don't know. I have to check who it was. I don't remember, but we talked like maybe once or twice, and that was it. But it was not Arthur. It's a great. I mean, listen, it's a great group. Like, honestly, like it's when Dave Orff had mentioned to me like about this group, and Jen and I joined it. It's fantastic. I mean, if it really is motivating to a degree. I think it stopped motivating me as much because of, again, like it felt like there were so many posts in there that didn't need to be in there. I was just like, just checking in. And I'm like, I think for some people they need to do that, and that's great. I just didn't need to see that so much. So it was like, all right, I'm kind of over being in this group. Still love the program, still love the people, but it was just like, and I think it's cyclical too, because you see people that had been posting in there regularly that kind of faded away, and new people come in, and that's great. So I mean, again, like it's an awesome group if you need it.
Well, guys, speaking of Facebook, I don't have a lot of time in my life. I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. When I'm on there, my hobby is Tom Sroka goes and finds these random questions. Like someone says, "What was the last thing you ate?" And then Tom will answer something like Fred, or just these crazy fucking answers.
How did Fred taste?
It is my favorite fucking thing to do on the internet is troll. I reached out to him a couple weeks ago. I said, "Tom, you have no idea how much joy this is bringing in my life." Every day I take like 2 minutes, I'm scrolling through and I find it. And they are just outrageous and ridiculous. And people answer them a lot of times too.
Yeah. So for you don't know, there is the way that the Facebook algorithm works now it's all about visibility through interaction. And so what influencers and brands have started to do have asked basic questions that are 1 to 5 word answers that they know somebody with a quick second can answer. And it's like, tell me how old you are with a department store. And then, everybody's grandma's going to answer fucking, Woolworths or some shit, and that's what they do. But the thing is you end up getting 65,000 interactions or comments because it took somebody no time to do that. Well, then when that person wants to promote something or put something out there, well, Facebook assumes that they have really high interaction. And you're seeing it with Dallas. Dallas has begun to do it too. Hey guys, what's your favorite motivational podcast? And there were thousands of comments. And then the next thing he'll post a video of somebody's life-changing journey, and it might have 6 comments. Because it actually takes time for somebody to sit and watch that video and then come up with something to say about it. And so it's like you're starting to see it, and it's become just like this huge influx. And I love that you're just fucking up the whole algorithm with just stupid answers.
It's one answer at a time.
Yep.
It's like I remember like these kept popping up in my newsfeed, and I said to Jen, because Jen's more tech savvy than I am. I'm like an old man shaking his fist on the lawn. And I'm like, what is this? Why is why? And she's like, they just pop up on everybody's, people. And like you said, Ryan, it's like, she's explained to me the whole process of like people comment. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to start answering ridiculous questions, like answers. And like Tom said, like, it'll say, what did you eat for dinner last night? And it's just like, garbage, or it's like, name something that, was fun to do when you were a child. And I'm just like, murder. Or like the one was like
being released from ground.
Yeah, the one was like, it was a picture of a guy going on a hike, and he had like his dog in his backpack, and it's like, oh, when the girlfriend says, pack your supplies, and I wrote like, well, that's not a very good supply. Like, if you go out for a walk, you need water for hydration, you need electrolytes, you need carbs, you need the protein. Like, this person who packed is an absolute idiot. And the page replied and was like, this is meant to be in jest, blah 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 blah. And I was like, well, if you're talking about bringing supplies on a hike, I'm assuming you're eating that dog, and this is America. We don't eat dogs. and it was, but I have a very morbid sense of humor and things like that. It's probably from loving horror movies, which I know Scotty can relate to. So if I can put it's like, oh, write a story in 4 words, and I'll sit there and write like 32 words out, and then
you don't follow the rules.
and then somebody
I love
replies, it's supposed to be 4 words, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that because I blah 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 blah, or like it's like what's your favorite book, and I'll write I can't read. and they keep coming, and Jen's like, well, if you keep commenting, you're gonna keep seeing more of them. And I was like, well, I have nothing better to do.
You get a 4-word one, combine all the words that you want to write, but make it 4 sections of words.
Am I doing it right?
Nailing it. Well, speaking of horror, so yeah, you're huge. You go to horror festivals. You do you just did something with the drive-in theater.
Yeah, it was awesome. We saw Clint Howard was there, and they did a double feature. It was Rock and Roll High School, which we had never seen, and it was fantastic. And they followed that up with the horror movie, The Ice Cream Man.
Yes, horror.
Yeah,
that's a video store horror film, right?
Yeah, and great cover.
Yes, exactly. Fantastic cover, and that every kid on Friday nights wanted to rent it. But yes, so give me your all-time top 3 horror films.
So this is, I know this is kind of difficult. I did do a list.
Genre. It could be comedy, horror, or anything else.
No, I mean, it's funny because I did do a list a few weeks ago when I was doing state testing. I was in a room by myself waiting for kids, and I was in a room all white walls, and I was driving myself crazy. And I wrote a list of like 12 horror movies where if I was trapped on a desert island, these are the ones I'd want to watch over and over again. So
if you're on a desert island, you couldn't watch a movie.
Well, I didn't think that far ahead, Ryan. So I have 3 honorable mentions, and I have 3 that my top 3. So can I do that?
Yeah, it didn't follow the rules, obviously. Go ahead.
Well, that's okay. What are you gonna do? Ban me?
Exactly.
Honorable mentions would be Frankenhooker. It's a great movie. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, which is horrible in all the best ways. And then I would say Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors.
Love Dream Warriors.
I love it as well. I tried to keep mainstream out of my top 3 because I feel like that's too. I wanted to pick things that maybe people haven't seen that they should see. Yeah, I went that route.
Yep.
And then my top 3. I would do Sleepaway Camp 2. It's much better than the first one. It's more of a comedy. A lot of mine are horror comedy, so bear with me. Slumber Party Massacre 2. And then my all-time favorite horror movie, period, Return of the Living Dead.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, Scotty, do you have a top 3?
It'd be so hard to get the third one, but easily my top 2, without a doubt, would be Phantasm, number 1 all time, and then number 2, anything off the Evil Dead franchise.
Yeah.
So I know that Evil Dead's a little more mainstream, but Phantasm, if you find
I'm not afraid of mainstream. Evil Dead 2, and then Shaun of the Dead, and then Event Horizon.
Event Horizon's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead would probably be my number 3. Like, if I had to throw it in there, Shaun of the Dead's ridiculous. I own that movie like 12 times over right now.
Yeah. Here's a fun fact. I've never seen
you just got that huge like box set with like all the like that custom Blu-ray set, right? With like all the pictures, and that was really cool.
Sick, dude.
I've only ever seen the first Evil Dead. I've never seen any of the sequels.
The sequel is basically the first one, but better, like done better, basically. I mean, it is. It's like they kind of had a better budget and better support and decided to make kind of the same movie but better. And then the third is completely different universe. But
I hadn't seen the Phantasm movies until when it was on Shudder. They did Joe Bob Briggs has a show, Last Drive-In, and they covered 4 of the 5, and my son and I watched them, and they make no sense. They're crazy, but we love them. Like, we're like, this is incredible. We had such a good bonding experience over them, like how insane they were, and then theorizing like what was actually happening, and how much we loved Reggie and his 4-barrel shotgun. I mean, just what a film series.
Travis, are you a horror fan at all?
Not really much of a horror fan, but I mean, the one that kind of messed me up the most as a kid was Children of the Corn.
Still can't walk through a cornfield. That was mostly because of my age, and my older brother had his friends over at the time, and they also took me out on a drive to the cornfield. So all that together kind of, so that's the worst one. And then it just family's for.
They got kind of hokey for me as I got older, but I wrote these down, and I'm gonna check these out that you guys are talking about.
What do you got?
Yeah.
What do you got, Dr. Tom? I need your top 3 horror films involving doctors. Go.
I don't watch movies.
Yes.
There was a weird dentist movie.
Yeah,
that
Oh,
was a
the
dentist one.
dentist. Corbin
Bullshit.
Burnson.
Oh,
Corbin Burton, right?
Yeah, there's 2 of them.
Dude, those movies are fantastic, dude.
Yes,
So
they
much
are.
fun.
Yes.
He froze, right?
Yeah, he's so happy.
No.
He was so good he
Dr. Nichols
froze.
got him. Yep, he's good.
Oh,
that's so
Dentist is
excited.
great.
Yeah,
But
that's
a good one.
amazing. That's funny. What a pull. So no, that's awesome. So you guys should probably, like, you and Scotty could probably just sit down and talk for like 2 hours and just talk horror films, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
we can-
I'd love to connect, dude.
Yeah.
Real quick too, man, just because you're from the Philly area and stuff. Do you ever go out to Monster Mania there in Cherry Valley?
We were supposed to for the first time. I've never done the conventions until the last like year or so because I just wasn't aware of them or wherever. But we were supposed to go during COVID, and then like that got canceled or postponed. I can't remember if that's the one where there's like 2 that we got a full refund for the other one, and the other, there's one where we got a full refund, and the other one I don't know if it's that one or not, but they didn't give a refund, and they've just like kind of postponed it indefinitely, like very like shady stuff. I don't know if it was that one or not, but we did have intentions to go out. We've been really like sticking with like the drive-ins, like Mahoning Drive-In has been our go-to. We went last year for Freddy Fest, and we got to meet,
you did Freddy Fest, right? Yep.
Yeah, we got to meet a couple of the actors. Lisa Wilcox from Part 4 and 5 was there, who played Alice. Mark Patton from the second one, who just had that awesome documentary about, you know, his treatment as a gay actor in Hollywood. Ken Segos, who was in the Dream Warriors, as Kincaid, he was there. It was awesome, and I think we're going back in like 3 weeks, and Lene Quigley's going to be there for VHS Fest because I'm a big VHS collector, and I also love.
What
Lene
is? Can you explain what's VHS?
So a VHS is it's this movie, right? And it would come in reels, and they would wind up. You put them in something called a VCR. Graham has one. I watch movies at Graham's house a lot.
Oh, okay. I get it.
She has an extensive horror collection, by the way.
It's
Huge.
Yeah.
it's like a record player, but for movies, huh?
Exactly.
How neat.
You know, but who corrects little records anymore? It's such a weird old man thing
This
to do.
guy,
isn't it?
fucking man,
Yeah.
it's investments, man. Actually, I was going through my record collection the other night and found an old record because I was on a website and it's like there's this band called These Arms Are Snakes, and they're like, yeah, they're gonna reconnect and go back on tour, and I'm like, no shit, how cool is that?
Yeah.
And I was like, wonder if I still have that old vinyl. So I pull it up and pull up Discogs, and I'm looking at the vinyl and I'm looking at the picture. I'm like, that's weird. It's a different cover. My buddy Dan out in San Francisco sent it to me, and it's a limited pressing. They made 21 pressings of this album, and it's a hand screened cover, hand screened everything. Sent to me for my birthday back in like 2001. It's an $800 record now.
Wow.
So like records are like the one thing you can buy. Like they don't lose value; they gain as long as you collect in the right genre. I got a buddy, Dan, he collected a lot of albums by ISIS and Neurosis, a lot of these like doom, like Pelican, doom metal bands. And he got into some legal trouble and needed $60,000. He sold like half of his record collection for like $140,000.
Wow.
It's just, and you know, all these albums were bought $25 a piece, and he's selling them $600-$700 at a pop, man. Wow. And he sold like 100, I think he sold 185 records total over eBay and raked in $140,000. I mean, just crazy money in the vinyl market. So
yeah, I mean, I bought Jen a record player a couple years ago for Christmas with the whole setup and all that because she wanted to listen to these old Christmas albums. It was a Dolly Parton and Kenny Chesney Christmas album, and I was like, oh, I'll get her. I got her the whole record set, and we still
Kenny Rogers.
It was Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton Christmas album.
I don't think it was Kenny Chesney.
No, it was Kenny Rogers. Sorry, Kenny Rogers. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's country. Who cares? But I have gotten a few vinyl albums, mostly from thrift stores, but I've gotten a few Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers as a go-to. But I also have a lot of horror soundtracks as well. I'm waiting for one right now, actually, and I haven't gotten an update on that yet. Scotty, did you see Psycho Gorman?
Dude, I'm waiting for that too from Waxwork.
Where is it? Where is it? They said
I know.
So
give me my damn record.
So you guys really want the answer to that? So there's this composite. It's called VAM, VAM, and it's used in all vinyl, whether it's plastic, glue, like adhesives, vinyl records, all of that. that when Texas had the really bad ice storms, it completely ruined the Dow Jones chemical plant or whatever it is. Completely ruined their infrastructure. Like all the pipes froze, everything burst. They can't produce that, and that they are the #1 supplier worldwide of resin. And right now, like say Scotty, you got a brand new band, you guys got signed, and you want to cut vinyl records. Congratulations, you can record your album. Your vinyl record will not release until March because there's just not enough resin. The one thing they can do is they can melt old records down and repress them, but you're only going to get black pressings out of that. So if it's a limited pressing and it's color, if it's a wax mage or anything like that, they can't press them right now. So that's probably where your record is.
Yeah,
they're waiting on that composite.
That makes sense because I think it was supposed to be shipped out in like June, and obviously we're getting towards the end of June, and there's been no update. But it's fine. I mean, I'm patient enough to wait for it. But I was wondering the same thing. I'm like, where is my record?
The more you know.
So
if you don't know, now you know.
So I shouldn't email the company and ask where it's at.
Oh no, you definitely should. They actually really love being hit up regularly. Just throw a block of cheese at them.
That's not the worst thing I've done.
Okay, so I think you've probably watched a couple episodes. So you probably know that we ask every single guest to add a selection to the Hype Mix track. I think this might be our last two, and then we're going to go live with 2025 on. We'll start a new one. So, Tom, if you're going to hit the mat and there's no AC/DC rule, what song are you adding to the Hype Mix?
I've never actually watched this show before, this podcast, because I usually just go and comment and I just move on with my life because I don't have the time for it. But oh man, this is tough. I want to go with like the Doc and the Dream Warriors, just to keep in that horror theme. But I think I would instead go with the title song from Shocker, which was, what band was that? Because it was like one of those super bands. It was Paul Stanley on vocals, Tommy Lee was on drums. Oh man, I can't remember what their band name was, but it would be the Shocker theme. So if you want to look that up.
Shocker theme. Okay. I'm just going to assume it's Methods of Mayhem because Tommy Lee was involved.
I'll make sure I look that up in Spotify and not on my general search on Shocker. Okay.
Being my default search engine is Pornhub. That's going to be weird.
Oh, this is going to be weird. I'm sorry. The band is called the Dudes of Wrath.
Of course.
The Dudes of Wrath, WRATH, and it was the title track from that movie, which had a lot of awesome, Oh yeah, there it is, Dudes of Wrath, metal. There you go.
Okay, and Scotty, since you've already had one, let's go ahead and add another one since you're here.
Ooh, doubling up. All right, I'll stick with the horror theme as well. Then let's do the Dickies theme from Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes, it's my son's favorite movie.
Is it? So I remember watching it at like 1 a.m. on HBO when I was a kid. You get those free trials because we were poor as shit, and it was just so just try to record whatever you could when it would come on.
It's a great movie to show kids. I mean, there's very little blood,
Right.
Yeah, that's such a fantastic film.
Oh, it's so ludicrous too.
The guys who created that, the Chiodo brothers, were just at the Mahoning this past weekend. I didn't get a chance to go out there, but my buddy did, so he said it was awesome. They did like a Critter-thon, so they did like Critters 1 and 2, and they had a bunch of props from Killer Clowns and Critters and Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah. I met them a few years ago.
I saw that in theaters
at Monster Mania. Super, super cool guys.
Yeah, the horror community usually is.
Hell yeah.
So with that and going off of kind of what we were talking earlier with the couples theme, that's going to be the main component here for our fist fight question. So who are you putting money on in a fist fight? We'll do a couples edition. It's going to be DDP and his girl Paige.
My girl Paige.
George and Jen Fenmore. Or Matt and Amy Kuntz, who is featured in the Fat Burner video. They were the first couple I remember seeing a transformation video for.
Dang, I don't even remember Matt and Amy Kuntz at all, so I'm gonna just take them out of the running. Oh man, this is tough because George and Jen Fenmore, I think they what do they do, like 4 hours a day of DDP yoga? I mean,
at least. I
don't know how they have jobs. And then DDP's got, DDP's jacked, right? He's got those jack bands, and he's got.
I think he jacks every day.
Yeah, he definitely jacks more than most guys his age. And and he's just gone down to Colombia, so I don't know what goes on down there
Yeah,
as
he's
far
got
as
that
like
stem cell thing going.
Yeah, so I guess I'm going to have to go page and page on that one, just because I don't know what they put in his body in Colombia. He might be a super soldier now. It might be, yeah, it might be maybe he got mutagen. Maybe he's going to turn into like a Ninja Turtle or something like that, or I don't know. I mean, and it's yeah. So I'm gonna go. I'll go page and page on that one.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's the right answer. I probably would have said that George would have turned on Jen and just joined the page.
He would
have punched her right in the face just for Dallas.
Hey Dallas, you see what I do? Look at that.
Dallas, sorry. Yeah, he would have pushed Jen out of the way. Get out of the way. It's my time.
The thing I remember, you said you don't remember Matt and Amy, is I always will remember is in Fat Burner, Dallas tells Amy, hey, you're not engaging enough. Make sure you step that foot back and really get that heart rate going. So she's already back. And she's engaged and her heart's like just under the green. She goes right to the green. So she steps back even further. And then her heart, like 30 seconds later, he's like, step back in. Your heart rate's too high.
Oh my God.
And the look on her face is like, what?
Now, see, if you had said, Bot and his wife, I would have went with Bot and his wife because, I think they would have been able to take the pages. But you didn't offer that option.
I think Boz is too tired to throw a punch at anybody.
I don't know.
He's too nice of a guy.
Yeah, he is. He's
like,
a polite individual.
Just punch me.
Yep, he's the only thing keeping the show together. Obviously,
It'd be a tickle fight with Boz.
It would be.
And it would involve plush toys and
yeah, baby sharks.
Yes.
So Tom, do you got anything nutrition wise at all you're covering today? You got any food label fuckery or any of that?
I can if my internet's good enough.
I think it's perfect.
Okay, fantastic. So we're going to do just a quick food label fuckery. This is one of my favorite ones. I think everybody will learn a little something from that. So I have this right here. Everybody has this in their house. Pam cooking spray, right? So just a normal everyday cooking spray. Has everybody ever looked at the nutritional facts on this?
No.
0 calories, 0 fat, 0 cholesterol, 0 carbohydrates, 0 protein. So this is what's really, really important about food products, right? A lot of times they'll say something is calorie free. Do we know of anything that's truly calorie free besides water and air? Not so much, right? This is oil in a can, right? We use this all the time. One serving size. Do you guys know what a serving size is on this? That's the question.
There's going to be 200 servings in that can.
Okay, there's 659 servings in this can, Ryan. Right? So a serving size is 1/4 of a second of a spray. 1/4 of a second, right? On food labels, you can label something as 0 calories if it has up to 4 calories. So that means 1/4 of a second can be up to 4 calories, right? So we do not spray this for 1/4 of a second. No one can count for 4 seconds. I use this every single day. When I make my eggs and I make my chicken, I use this multiple times a day. It takes about 5 seconds to cover the pan. Honestly, usually you get about 5 seconds of spray, right? So if we assume that 1/4 of a second is 4 calories, that means 1 second is about 16 calories.
90.
5 seconds is 80 calories, right? So if we are using this multiple times a day, which I'm not saying not to use it, it's an amazing product, right? It's really, really good. It cuts down calories. Just don't think there's no calories in this, because realistically, if you're spraying for any longer than 5 calories or for 5 seconds, and if you use this multiple times a day, that can add up to several hundred calories in a day, just like oil would, because it's fucking oil, right? So just be really, really careful with your serving sizes. This is going to be the most important thing when we go through these food label fuckeries. Is no one would ever. So if this is 659 servings, this would last us 2 years, right? It doesn't last 2 years. Most of this lasts, 3 weeks at the most, right? So just
Funny
be careful.
thing is the expiration date is not 2 years on that, is it?
Oh
my God, dude. Oh, that's hilarious.
I love it. Love it. So not saying don't use cooking spray. Cooking spray is great, but just realize that there are calories in every single food, even though if it says low calorie, no calorie, look at that serving size immediately. So
now do you think that people should count those calories? For instance, when Sroka decides to strap on those jack bands and just get to town, and he wants to use that cooking spray to help him jack better.
Do you guys know that this is what I use for my pictures, by the way?
Is it really?
When I was done 100%.
Did you track it for like absorption?
Did not, but getting this shit off you is crazy. So the one that I got, or which I didn't realize, was the butter smelling one because I just picked it up. I was a mess before that. So I asked Heather to grab some spray. We didn't get it. I had to pick it up from work. I just grabbed it real quick. It was the butter smelling one. I had that fake stupid tan on, and then you have to spray this on top of you. And that shower smelled like that shit fake tan and butter coming off you and sweat and gross. But anyway, yes, back to your question. Dobbins needed to hear that story about me spraying myself because obviously he would have brought this up if I didn't.
Oh, yeah, he would have.
I don't think that you really have to count it if you're using the same amount every single day, right? So if you use this 3 times a day, that's not going to change. But if you just notice that, you feel like you're in a caloric deficit, you really have to look at everything that you're doing. And a lot of times this is the stuff you underestimate. We underestimate stuff like this. We underestimate coffee creamers, condiments. Condiments is the big one, right? We love ketchup. You guys have seen that bottle of ketchup? Sugar, right? About half a bottle is sugar. They make sugar-free ketchup that's really good by Heinz, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of things you could do that if you're looking at, okay, I feel like I'm in a caloric deficit. I'm tracking all my foods. Are you really tracking all your foods? Because you're probably not. So it's shit like this, which is great. Again, that might be an extra 100 calories you're not thinking of. You may have to just cut a little of your foods. Look at your condiments too, because that's another thing. A serving of ketchup, nobody uses 1 serving of ketchup.
No,
Nobody eats 1 serving of peanut butter. Nobody does any of these things, right? So you just have to really, really look at exactly what you're consuming. Once you get there, you can dial it in, but it's embarrassing when you find out what a true serving size is compared to what you're actually eating.
That's why I'm a big proponent of they should do like true servings. Like, what does an average person actually do? Like, I know I make the joke with the Oreo thing, like it should be based on 1 sleeve and not 2 cookies, but like for real, like same thing with peanut butter. Nobody's going to use a tablespoon of peanut butter. You're going to rip your bread if you try and do that. Like, you can't do
salad
that.
dressing.
Right.
Salad dressing's another big one, right? And again, never going to say don't use salad dressing, but just be honest with yourself. If you weigh out how much that serving size is, you're going to be 4 or 5 servings of salad dressing on every small salad. It's just the way it is.
Right.
You have to make sure you're counting
600 calories right there.
Right
Like
there.
you think you're hitting 150, and so then what do people do? Well, I'll just go with fat free. Well, fat free, now you're through the roof in sugar or something else, and you're not really offsetting like you think you are. So yeah, I mean, that's awesome, and it's one of those little things that. Those little things make a huge difference, especially if you're starting to plateau or you're not seeing the results you were at one time. So, but awesome. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I think Scotty's already wrapped it up.
Yeah, sorry, I take you guys a little bit of a road tour as I'm making my way out here.
You're all good. Hashtag Tom Willent sucks. Hashtag Thomas Willent. So you want to get both? Yeah, you need.
I'm just
Cover all bases.
Yes.
Just
you can tell he's not tech savvy because he puts spaces in there.
Well, that's how I write.
That's how I write, which is amazing because you can't read.
I can't read, but I can write.
He's shocking. He's shockingly good.
I can understand Spanish. I cannot speak Spanish. All right. So obviously, as always, guys, if you want to reach out to us, be sure to shoot us an email at hitthepodcast@gmail.com. If you have a question about a food label or about the way something's marketed or put out there for Dr. Tom, shoot us an email and maybe he can do a quick little rundown like you just did on olive oil. If you are a manufacturer of spray-on olive oil and you're pissed at Dr. Tom, you can email him at drtomsucks@gmail.com. Just shoot him all that hate mail. And his assistant, Tom Sroka, will tell you to go fuck yourself and throw a block of cheese at you.
There you go.
If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to hit that notification bell, like and subscribe, leave a comment, help us get up in that interaction. Tell us about how you enjoyed murder as a child. Tell us about how Fred tastes. Whatever it takes, as long as you comment and it gets our interactions up there, that's all that matters. And if you're listening to us on any podcast app, be sure to rate and review, help us move up in those ranks. We are pretty much on anything and everything, huge in the Philippines. So if you're in the Philippines, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Moline or something like that.
Yeah, Moline loves us. Actually, they've actually reached out to Boz to see if we can actually do a live show there. We just got to find the right guest.
And there's actually a mural getting ready to go up for us out there as well.
Yeah,
so.
we're getting the key to the city, which is pretty outstanding.
A lot going on out there.
There's only one lock in that city,
and we get the whole key.
And then if you guys want to reach out to me, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook at Burn the Boats Fitness. If you want to follow Scotty, what do you got?
Hey guys, you can follow me Instagram at Scotty Bootz. That would be much appreciated. Lots of health stuff, lots of collector stuff. I'm a mutt over there, but a lot of fun.
DMs are wide open too, gentlemen.
Wide open for DMs.
And Tom?
I'm going to forego everything. I'm actually going to make this official. I'm going to start selling the Tom Sroka shirts on the Project Mayhem Etsy page. All proceeds will go to Jen Sroka. Not one penny will go to Tom Sroka because he's rich and he doesn't need any more money.
True.
So spend your money.
She'll need it for the
Buy
divorce
these
lawyer.
shirts. Exactly.
Yes.
This is all going to go 100% to Jen Sroka, who is a saint.
I don't
He
need
is an absolute monster.
I don't need to pay a lawyer. My union, I get a certain amount of legal fee like paid for that.
We
each
didn't
year.
say you. We said this is for Jen's lawyer fees,
Oh well, she can use the same lawyer.
which eventually you will be paying for, right?
Exactly.
True.
All right, Travis.
The Real Shamrock Fitness on Instagram, Shamrock Fitness DDP Yoga Experience on Facebook, transitioncoach.co, CA rather, CO, transitioncoach.co. Okay, that's it. Fuck it.
And Sroka, you got anything? You want anybody to creep on you, or are you good?
No. In fact, please don't send me any friend requests. I just got one today and immediately deleted that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
They're coming. They're coming. Don't worry.
If you want to follow Sroka, you can find him on Instagram at the fake Shamrock Fitness,
That's it.
where
If
he
you're-
does not teach 8 classes a week with Dr. Marcel Dore. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. We do appreciate it. Grab a drink, fellas, as always.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers. I'm out.
The
Oh,
mat.
he did it. And hit the mat.
Better Hit the Mat podcast.
Shit out. Basically, I moved.
Gotcha. Oh, there's the. So I
Nice
got to send you a
pussy.
picture of. I'll send you what that's going to look like 18 years from now because we have the same exact 2 cats, but ours are old.
I
Are
doubt
18
that
years old right now.
they're exact.
They're
I'm
the
just
exact same cats. So you're in like a time warp here.
That's
That's
funny.
a whole new doctrine you have going on there.
Boz isn't here, so we replaced him with another B, Boots. And
Smart.
Look
Yeah.
out, Boz.
Bozzy Boots. Nice fresh haircut,
Yeah, man.
looking good. Shave that stupid beard of his. I like it. Like it.
all right, so let's see how many times I fucked this intro up, huh? All right. Oh, actually, no, you're taking Boz's place, so you got intro, right, Boots? Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I'm just-
You worked on
I'm
your
along for the
English.
ride, man.
Have you worked on your English accent too? So,
I'm just here to talk about the podcast.
Love it.
G'day. Mick Dundee from Australia. How are you?
So Kenny's our guest for real?
For real.
for
He
real
is.
though.
Well, he didn't really get a chance to like feature and really talk.
So we could start as simplistic as just
Tom freezing up.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
That is super simple, Tom. You're right. You froze. Nope.
Hmm.
Nope. We're still coming to your computer.
This would be a hell of an episode
It's all fucking Boz's fault. So
for Boz to edit. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, damn you, bot.
There we go. We good now?
yeah, we're all good. To me.
And I was like,
No, she
thanks.
was married.
Your day to day because it's so gradual for you. But when code it, do you want me to?
Oh, got him. Yep, he's good.
Oh,
That's so
this is
exciting.
great.